Back again. Another episode of A Muslim and an Atheist Breaks Bread. What you saying, Pops?
I'm good.
Yeah? Cold
Yeah,
still?
nah, it's alright now, innit?
It's alright now, it's 6 hours later. Yeah, we're on this Alan Watts rabbit hole. Again, I need to do some research into Alan Watts. I'm going to believe he's an American, but I'm not sure where he's from, where he was born, his upbringing, his religious denomination, his background. Don't know anything about him, really. Just watched a few videos. Where I am with Alan Watts is at the moment is I think he's a clever man, clearly. I'm still trying to decipher his philosophy on life. You can't do that after 2 videos. So, yeah, we'll dive into this. And where were you, Dad? Where were you with Alan Watts?
Yeah,
What you
well, I
thinking?
know this geezer, bro. Let's go.
Alright, we're going to jump in. We're going to do Alan Watts on the illusion of time. The reason why I picked this one is because me and you talk about time all the time.
That's all we got.
That's all we got. So let's see what his
My goodness,
thoughts are
don't you
on it.
remember when you went first to school? You went to kindergarten. And in kindergarten, the idea was to push along so that you could get into first grade, and then push along so that you could get into second grade, third grade, so on, going up and up. And then you went to high school, and this was a great transition in life. And now the pressure is being put on. You must get ahead. You must go up the grades and finally be good enough to get to college. And then when you get to college, you're still going step by step up to the great moment in which you're ready to go out into the world. And then when you get out into this famous world comes the struggle for success in profession or business. And again, there seems to be a ladder before you, something for which you're reaching all the time. And then, suddenly, when you're about 40 or 45 years old in the middle of life, you wake up one day and say, huh? I've arrived. And by Jove, I feel pretty much the same as I've always felt. In fact, I'm not so sure that I don't feel a little bit cheated. Because you see, you were fooled. You were always living for somewhere where you aren't. And while, as I said, it is of...
What do you think of that?
That's the dream, innit? You ain't in your dream.
I think it's true though, isn't it? I think that's like, it's quite reminiscent of, have you ever read a book called The Power of Now? It's quite similar in that essence, in saying, you know, like essentially, it's like when people say don't wish your time away. You know, like you're always wanting to be somewhere, but you never, if you're always somewhere else, you're never in the moment, living, doing what you're doing. So I can get that.
tremendous use for us to be able to look ahead in this way and to plan. There is no use planning for a future, which when you get to it and it becomes a present, you won't be there. You'll be living in some other future which hasn't yet arrived. And so in this way, one is never able actually to inherit and enjoy the fruits of one's action. You can't live at all unless you can live fully now.
Now,
And because now is never satisfactory, because we're never really living in it, we get more and more avid to go ahead and pursue the future. We develop our technology to a fantastic ability where we can more and more fulfill our desires for the future almost immediately, working towards a sort of push-button world. But have you ever stopped to think what the world would be like if you could fulfill every wish the moment you wished it? Suppose, for example, on going to bed at night, you could always dream whatever you wanted to dream. What would happen after a while? Of course, I suppose at first, you would dream fantastic pleasures, wonderful adventures, fulfillment of all the things you ever wished. Then as time went on, don't you think you'd want to be, a little bit surprised, to have a little bit less control over what was happening to you? And after you'd experimented with this for some months or years, you might even want dreams in which you suffered, because there is no real delight, no real fulfillment without delay. Doesn't every child know on a hot day, and you think, I'm terribly thirsty, and I'd like an ice cream soda? Haven't you tried the experiment of putting off drinking it, putting off, so that you get thirstier and thirstier, and it's so much fun when you finally get to it? And so in the same way, impatience with time, always wanting the future, is frustrating. Maya, which generally has the meaning of illusion, or rather, illusions brought about by the acceptance of certain conventions, of which perspective was an example. When we are not aware that certain things which we take for granted, like the separateness of things from each other, when we are not aware that this is a matter of convention, we are apt to be fooled. Now, I think one of the conventions by which we tend to be fooled more than almost any other is time. And for all human beings, time is a matter of extraordinary importance. And perhaps this is one of the principal ways in which we differ from animals. Because man has been called a time-binding animal. That is to say, a creature who is vividly aware of the fact that his life moves, as it were, along a line from the past through the present and into the future. Animals apparently live pretty much moment by moment. They don't appear to have very strong memories, but because man has a strong memory, he is able to bear the past in mind and, as it were, cast it forward into visions of the future based upon what has happened in the past. And therefore, although this facility gives man the most extraordinary ability to plan his life, to prepare for future eventualities, at the same time, there is a very heavy price which he pays for it, and especially if he takes this ability too seriously. In other words, if he doesn't realize that the true reality in which he lives is the present moment now. For example, the animal probably doesn't concern itself very much with problems of future disease, death, or starvation, and things of that kind. If an animal sees another dead animal lying around, I don't suppose he thinks to himself, well, one day that's going to happen to me. Rather, he just sees a dead animal, sniffs it, sees whether it's good to eat, and wanders away. But for human beings, it's entirely different, because we actually spend most of our time and a great deal of our emotional energy living in time which is not here, living in an elsewhere which is not concretely real. So much so that although we may be quite comfortable and happy in our present circumstances, if there is not a guarantee, not a promise of a good time coming tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, we are at once unhappy, even in the midst of pleasure and affluence. And so we develop a kind of chronic anxiety about time. We want to be sure more and more, because of our sensitivity to the feeling of time, we want to be sure more and more that our future is assured. And for this reason, the future becomes of more importance to most human beings than the present. And in this sense, we are hooked, taken in by a Maya, because it is of very little use to us to be able to control and plan the future unless we are capable at the same time of living totally in the present. And so, when in civilized societies we spend so much of our time living for the future, we become very much like those celebrated donkeys, you know, that have a carrot fastened on a stick that's tied to the neck, you know, behind here, and it comes over, and there's the carrot dangling in front of them. They pursue it, pursue it, pursue it, but can never reach it. And so in exactly the same way, it's that way with us. But when one can come to realize that the present is the only place in which you live, and that the past and the future are now no more than useful illusions, still useful, but useful only if one can live in the present, then, as I say, one can settle into full participation with the momentary reality of life as it goes along, just like music. Buddha, one of the wisest of the sons of Asia, his real name was Gautama, but he was called Buddha because Buddha means the awakened one, the man who woke up. Now, in what sense was he awake? He was awake in the sense that he was completely all here. After all, we say about a person who's nuts, he's not all here. He's not all there. But our whole culture, our whole civilization, insofar as it is involved with time and living only for a future, is nuts. It's not all here. We are not awake. We are not completely alive now. And consequently, we are so hungry and so greedy because everything seems tasteless. We are living for an abstraction which has not yet come to be, and we don't know what really is.
Wanna go?
Yeah, it's calm. Yeah, we're living in the present. Everything, yeah, it's fact, isn't it? I wouldn't say it's philosophy, I'd say it's more fact.
I think it is philosophy because a lot of people don't. I mean, it's easy for you to go, yeah, it's obvious, but for a lot of people, it actually isn't obvious, is it? I mean, even I'm guilty of thinking about the future too much, and I think a lot of today's societal problems are actually caused by them things, and it's actually something that Sadhguru has touched on very many times. Your two biggest gifts, two biggest weaknesses as well, isn't it? Your what's it called, your memories and your imagination. Now he's just contemplating the imagination part because he's talking about living in the future, but it works the same for the
Memories
past.
are the best.
Yes, but when we break it down and we look at it in society, most people are living for the future. Most people don't live in the present. So maybe it's an age thing with yourself, because I'm sure when you was younger, I can imagine you was quite the same.
Nah,
In a
it
rush to get
changes.
some,
Sanguru
do you
is
think
reflective in nature. I'm more reflective in nature than you because I'm older. So
that's what I was gonna say to you. Do you think it's an
T-shirt,
age
got
thing?
that T-shirt. There's that T-shirt over there. But for young people, everything's new and inventive. They're just coming at it from a slightly different twist. But they gotta get to that point themselves.
100%.
What happens is, like I say, we all live in the present. Our presence entwined with other people's future plans. You know, they hope to see us in the future. You hope to see somebody. You hope to make it home. So this word hope and all this is about that future. But you can't not have a future plan. You've got to have a future plan. So living in the present goes on like, well, if I was just here like this, everything is calm, but it wouldn't be. You know, you've got to go home to see the wife and the kids, and this is all what you're going to do in the future. Pay that bill, do this, do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, your Maya, as he refers to it, is an ideal. If you can get into that spot where nothing, you know, you don't have a future plan, you're not wearing your watch, you don't have anything else to do, you can just stay in that zone.
That's when you're financially free, baby.
Right. Well, mentally, financially free. That's when no bills don't come through your letterbox. Lots of people are financially free living in somebody else's house, bruv. It's only one person that's name on all the bills in most houses. So there's plenty of people out there. Yeah. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, maybe most houses.
Yo, relationships tend to be like that, bruv, where it's one-sided.
Yeah, true. I don't know about so much these days, actually. I don't know if that is true.
What?
that in most households it's one person's name on the bill. I don't know if that's true anymore.
They normally, I don't
trying
know
to
what
think- I'm trying to
normal
think
is
of
to
no-
say. Normal makes it sound like it is normal. The
It's
assumption
common
I make
practice.
is,
It's common practice, but yeah. I think
well, households are set up centered around the woman mainly. And then if you have a man who controls the money, it's called abuse and all sorts of stuff. So society dictates that you get a woman the thing and get out the way, basically.
I don't know if it's like that for my generation.
You're not old enough yet then, bro. That's all.
Well,
Don't
this is what
worry.
I'm saying,
Your
my
generation's
generation.
the same. The structure and the framework.
It's not the same. Generations change. I think you think everything's the same. But
What doesn't-
things
what changed? What
Everything
changed?
changes. Work patterns.
How did work patterns
construct.
change?
Because back in the day, the woman would stay at home. So essentially, a man would go to work.
My
give
mum
the
never
woman-
stayed at home, bro.
Yeah, but most women did.
I don't know
Most
that to be
women.
true either. I think
Nah,
that's
not
one of
true.
those ideal things. My experience is people who came from foreign had to work like a dog to pay the rent, save money, send home, and all them kind of thing. Everybody was working. Nobody was at home.
Yeah, true. I guess it depends where you come from.
You get me? But if
Where
you lived
come
in
from. Yeah,
council housing and all you had to do was sign on once every couple of weeks and the money flowed, your housing and everything was sorted as the culture of this spot was back in the day, then life did flow. You remember you were talking to me about one of your in-laws and their short-term view that it was kind of everything was ideal. Grandkids, everybody in the same spot, always been in the same spot.
Yes.
Right, this was I don't have a spot. You know, my mom comes from somewhere. She don't really promote it hard like that. Really, I glorify it more than she does. You understand? She's just about, yo, she got here, did her thing, bought this, and we're here, and that's her whole thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
where she's coming from. She does reflect, but similarly, I grew up in the area I'm living in. All I've ever tried to do is escape.
You've never tried to escape where you live. You've stayed in the
Okay,
same.
okay. Again, young people know everything I remember.
No. Do you know what's
I haven't
like?
lived
'Cause-
there for years there, and so check what you're saying. I lived up Handsworth. I didn't live down there.
Oh, all right. So the area you live in, what's
Okay.
the area you live in? Predominantly the same. Like, are you talking about in a
Zone.
2 mile radius?
Yeah, from my mum.
Yeah. I'm talking about you've always lived in. See, to me, the area you live in is like you've always lived in North Birmingham. Man.
Yeah,
That's the area you live
that's
in.
where I live.
Yes, but you've always lived there, and you've never wanted to escape there because I spoke to you about this before.
I want to go Africa. That's escape, innit?
Yeah. But that's
Other
more
than
of a
that, I
recent.
don't want to go anywhere else. You're quite right.
Exactly. So yeah, so when we're talking about you've tried to escape the area you live in, how far's escape?
I don't want to live in Solihull, bro. I like roads with people walking on them. I go up there to see this kid, yo, there ain't no people nowhere. It's just houses and big roads, man.
And trees and
Yo,
greenery and space.
it's nice, but
Oh,
you know what? I'd rather see the whole heap of beggars walking down the road, hobbled together, doing their thing.
all right, yeah, fair enough. But anyway, so yeah,
In the
go on.
present,
What was you saying anyway? Carry on. Sorry.
I'm saying life and the experience of life is present. The future is to be hoped for. The past is already gone. The memories, as you call it. You know, the people you love, memories to hope for. You see a thing you buck up in at the club the other night. You hope you see her next week. There's no guarantee. So you have hope for things which make the future seem optimistic. Yo, I'm definitely going back to that dance next week. You know what I'm saying? It creates optimism. The present is,
But living in the present, see, a man might say that that's a thought process on it. So a man might think that, like, yo, see somebody and think, I'm going to come back here next week and then I'm going to try and chat to her. But if you're in the present, you might think, yo, I'm in the present and I'm thinking about next week, I'm going to go buck
Deal
up on
with
that
it
thing
now.
right now.
right,
See, that's the difference.
right. But again, the future is the next week thing. The present is now. But what might impact on your reality is the man them you're rolling with is driving off in the car and you ain't got no control. So your present is impacted, like I said, emerging things happening all the time.
Yeah.
So we live in hope of the future.
Yeah.
I'm going to get home and prepare a meal. I didn't prepare it before I left, you know.
I think you have to, like, live in hope of the future, but again, Because like I said, I am in danger. I feel like I am in danger of the essence of sometimes you can miss those moments being places. It's like I made a conscious effort. I went to see 50 Cent and Busta Rhymes the other day.
It must have been exciting.
It was amazing, to be honest. And then so I went there, and everyone around me they just wouldn't put the phones down. Like they were literally like watching it through their phones.
Mm.
And I remember I went with my friend Kate and I was like, right, like I made a conscious effort just not to pull my phone out. I thought, yeah, I'm here now, so just enjoy seeing the money.
Yeah, why would you
I
want to
don't
pull your
need
phone out?
Yeah, I don't need that. I just need to enjoy the experience as it's
It's just
happening.
the iPhone people, man. They paying the contract. They gotta bust it. That GoPro camera on iPhone.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean the illusion of time. I do think like we're all living on other people's timelines a lot though. It's kind of like that feeling, like when people say like, you know, when you get to certain ages, like, oh, you should have a house by now. Oh, you should have kids by now. Oh, you should have this
You
by
can have
now.
a house. They don't care how you get it. They just want to see you with something. They don't care if you rented it, bought it, borrowed
No,
it,
but
or
what I'm
you're
saying is,
crashing
yeah,
in
but
it.
people have timelines in their head that you should be living your life by. That's
I'm
just
hearing
the
it.
truth.
I think people have a big stick that they like to measure against other people's big sticks.
Yeah, and time is one
You
of
know what
those
I'm
things.
saying?
Then.
Right. So one of those is me, 1 bedroom, small, jokey jack. Everybody I've ever met wants mega mansions, like 40-foot rooms and stuff. Why? I've never actually wanted that. I need enough space to do what I'm doing. That's it. So
But again, that's yeah. But what are you doing in it? I guess it depends exactly. So, what do you want to do in it? I was having this conversation with Greg,
At
and
home?
his partner. Yeah, but at home. But the thing is, it depends on how you interact with your family, how big your family is, and it. So some
and
people's
it is
homes
that why
become the
man
home.
always has man caves separate so they can brook out into their own little spot.
But that's why men have them in it.
Because they gotta live with other people. When you got your own little spot permanently, then you're good in it.
Well, yeah, but then you're also isolated. So,
Depends how much time you spend in your spot.
all right, listen, that was The Illusion of Time by Alan Watts. We out.
Peace.
Peace. So I just